Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Independent National Electoral Commission and the National Security Advisor warned political parties to shun violence in Saturday's governorship and state assembly elections. Outgoing British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Katrina Lang, says she is impressed with Nigeria's democratic journey in spite of some contentions in the presidential elections. With just few days to the governorship elections, parties formed last-minute alliances as governors Babajide Sanwo-Olu and Seyi Makinde get endorsement from opposition parties.
And on business news, the International Air Transport Association says foreign airlines blocked revenue in Nigeria hit $743 million in January.
And on sports news tonight, FIFA announces the 2026 World Cup will have 104 matches instead of the traditional 64 due to the expanded format with 48 teams taking part in the world's biggest football tournament.
Professor Yemi Osinbajo launches a $600 million project for young Nigerians in the technology and creative sectors under the Digital and Creative Enterprises iDice program.
And in international news from London, global banking shares remain under pressure as fears persist over the fallout from Silicon Valley Bank's collapse.
It's just about 4 days to the governorship and state assembly elections across the country, and the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security is warning political parties and their candidates against actions that can cause electoral violence during the exercise. The committee, which met at the INEC headquarters in Abuja, is urging political parties and their supporters to play by the rules and avoid inciting violence at the polls.
2 weeks after the presidential elections, the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security meets to assess the just concluded polls and prepare for Saturday's governorship and state assembly elections. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission opens the meeting with a commendation for the successes recorded during the polls. Done with the review of the past, it's time to look ahead to the forthcoming governorship and state assembly elections.
We're going to have...
Both the INEC chairman and the National Security Advisor warned the political parties and their supporters against electoral violence.
The state elections will involve 1,021 constituencies, 28 governorship, and 993 state assembly seats. It is therefore important for parties and candidates to speak to their agents and supporters to see the elections as a contest and not war. They should refrain from acts of violence that may mar the elections or compromise the security of our personnel, observers, the media, service providers, and even the security personnel deployed to protect the process.
We must comply with the rules. We must also allow everyone, I've said this so many times, to exercise their fundamental rights as citizens of this country. And we're also calling on the political bigwigs, the gladiators, to call their lieutenants to order. Anybody who is itching to undermine this process should please think again. It is not in his own interest, it is not in the interest of the nation as well.
The INEC chairman seized the opportunity to appeal to the police to speed up the delivery of the case files for speedy prosecution of all electoral offenders.
The Commission is encouraged by the directive to state commands by the Inspector General of Police to handle all cases of electoral offenses expeditiously. We look forward to receiving the files from the Inspector General of Police. we will immediately set up a legal team to handle such cases in earnest.
The Independent National Electoral Commission is conducting governorship and state assembly elections for 28 states on Saturday, March 18, which is the last lap of the 2023 general election.
The presidential and National Assembly elections may have come and gone. Governor David Umahi of Ebonyi State is, however, advising his party, the All Progressives Congress, to consider zoning in determining the leadership of the 10th National Assembly. The governor stated this after meeting privately with the president in his office. Governor Umahi, who was recently elected into the Senate to represent Ebonyi South Senatorial District, gave this position after meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja. He told State House correspondents that the party should consider certain parameters to carry all regions along rather than allow everyone jump into the race.
Well, I'm a party man and, very committed to, decent process. The party and, of course, the president-elect, directed that we shouldn't talk about that yet. We should all go back and work for gubernatorial election and state assembly election. And I want to obey that directive, not to talk about it. But I believe strongly that, zoning, must be done by the party. The party should not allow people to, everybody to jump to the race. And in doing zoning, when the time comes, they must look at, all the parameters so that we can carry all the regions, along. This is very important, but I won't want to say further because the party director, we shouldn't talk about it until we have done our, elections. But just be assured that APC is getting very strong in Southeast.
Staying with the National Assembly, the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, is advising the incoming 10th National Assembly to maintain a bipartisan approach that prioritizes national interest. He expressed this stance while receiving the outgoing British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Katriona Lang, at the National Assembly. According to him, any approach to the contrary would thwart attempts by the incoming parliament to achieve stability in governance. He also says the present administration still has outstanding problems to address before the end of its tenure.
Outstanding issues to deal with in the near future when the new administration will come in. But we still have about 2 months for this administration to finish its tenure. And I believe that we still have issues like security to fix. We have to do a lot. It doesn't matter even if we have 1 day left. We still are responsible for making the security situation better in Nigeria. And I believe that with the commitment of the presidency and the National Assembly, we can improve the situation before the final days of the administration. I also believe that the economy needs to be given further attention. We need to improve on our revenue generation collection. We need to reduce the borrowing because the cost of borrowing is high, and when we spend over 90% of our revenues in servicing debt, I think it's not the kind of situation that we would like to continue going forward. So there are challenges, and it's not for us to wait for the next administration to come and fix. It's for us to continue to do whatever we can do to see that the situation is made better and the next administration inherits something better.
Well, meanwhile, the outgoing British envoy, who is on a farewell tour, also paid a visit to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, also at the National Assembly. Well, speaking to journalists after the visit, Mrs. Lang says she is impressed with Nigeria's democratic journey in spite of some challenges in the presidential and National Assembly elections.
Nigeria is the biggest democracy in Africa. Nigeria is one of the most important countries in Africa. So the world watches your progress to democracy. And although there were, some disappointments in this election, I think overall Nigerians should be proud. Since 1999, you've stuck with democracy, and that cannot be taken for granted because you look at the region as a whole. A lot of countries have had coups, presidents who refuse to step down. The electoral map here looks very different. You're moving to a 3-party system, maybe even 4. And I think Nigerians overall should recognise their vote does count.
9 political parties under the umbrella of the Alliance of Registered Political Parties have declared their support for the re-election of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State. The political parties are Young Progressives Party, YPP, Action Democratic Party, ADP, All People's Party, APP, Zenith Labour Party, ZLP, Allied People's Movement, APM, Social Democratic Party, SDP, People Redemption Party, PRP, a New Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, and All People's Party. Now, the latest support is coming from the Accord Party, which has also thrown its weight behind the governor's re-election bid. Now, the state chairman of Accord Party, Mr. Dele Oladiji, says the party is endorsing Governor Sanwo-Olu for a second term because of his achievements in the last 4 years.
In the best interest of the history of Lagos State, because the interest of Lagos State is above and beyond our personal political view and stand. Our decision as a party in Lagos State to endorse Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to continue his developmental efforts in Lagos State. And we have pledged in our letter that we are marshalling and mobilizing all our party members, executive, across Lagos State and the voting public to vote and re-elect Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu for his second term. We are not collapsing our structure into APC. We are endorsing the APC candidate for the state election. So all our party structure, all our executive, all our states, all our members and our canvasser are all being mobilized to work for the APC candidates in Lagos State.
And in Oyo State, the governorship candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Mr. Michael Lano, has stepped down and endorsed the candidacy of Governor Seyi Makinde of the People's Democratic Party. This is coming weeks after a faction of the party endorsed Governor Makinde as the governorship candidate. At a news conference in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, Mr. Lano said the stakeholders took a decision that will be in the best interest of the generality of the people in Oyo State.
We resolved that the best thing for your state right now is to align ourselves with a really progressive candidate. We were in fact captured by an emotional statement by a 70-year-old woman who said Governor Seyi Makinde not only paid our pensions promptly, but also took care of the aged women and men during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is the trait of the person that has set out to write his name in history and ensure an upliftment of the downtrodden in our state. After discussing with him, we decided that His Excellency Emeritus, Engineer Seyi Makinde, needs help from all capable hands within and outside the state to achieve his dreams for our state, and we have resolved to assist him in doing this. We have therefore resolved to inform all our teaming supporters to vote massively for Engineer Seyi Makinde of the People's Democratic Party on Saturday, 18th March 2023, and get him elected as Governor of Oyo State.
In Abuja, the FCT chapter of the Labour Party is calling on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, not to take any action capable of tampering with the already announced result of the FCT senatorial elections. This was stated today by the FCT State Chapter Chairman, Mr. Diogu Chukwuemeka, during a press briefing in Abuja. While thanking residents of the FCT for their unwavering support in the just concluded elections, he cautions that INEC must do the needful and not interfere or let anyone manipulate the records and results of the elections.
We want to use this opportunity to thank all residents of FCT for coming out on 25th February 2023 to vote for our candidates, which was conducted and concluded on 25th of February 2023. We also thank the people of FCT for our senatorial candidates who equally emerged victoriously over a man who has stayed in the Senate, in the National Assembly, to almost 20 years. We are asking INEC not to be funny in trying to go behind any bar to tamper with the results that be announced, candidates giving their certificate of returns, celebrated, and it is on record worldwide. Therefore, INEC, we are advising you to do the needful, to keep to the records of this election.
In part two, after the break, with governorship and state assembly elections just around the corner, we take a look at some of the battleground states in the southern part of the country. Please join us again.
Time waits for no man, or so they said. That's why you set goals and set your minds to achieving them. Because somehow you believe that one day your time will come. So through the highs and the lows, the good days and the not so great ones, you never stop thriving, hustling, and showing up. Because you know, even if tomorrow is not guaranteed, at least you've got control over today. But it's not enough to believe it. You've got to live it too, with the right partner by your side, providing you with all the support you need to forge ahead, and reminding you that now it's your time, not tomorrow, today. Today is yours to create greatness, to achieve your dreams, to reach your goals. And with FCMB, today is yours in every way. FCMB, my bank and I.
Why do we do it? Hide, cover up, tone down. Choose boldness. Celebrate the skin you're in and dress with confidence with Nivea Nourishing Cocoa Body Lotion, the triple layered care of deep moisture serum, precious cocoa butter, and vitamin E. Enriches your skin for 48 hours. It's time to show off your best skin. Wear your skin with pride every time with Nivea Nourishing Cocoa Body Lotion.
New So Clean Concentrated Detergent. 2 times the work, 2 times the speed, 2 times the strength. To win, we know what it takes. New So Clean 30% concentrated detergent. Now with 2 times the cleaning power. So Clean. For a faster, brighter, cleaner wash. With 2 times the cleaning power. So Clean, the official regional partner of Paris Saint-Germain.
When malaria wants your power for your side, it gon' knock you down. I'm a temp salt gel. There you are. Me I can tell you no say, malaria my lesson when no get bad days. Oh, bad days come out and it ain't easy to swallow. Check. I correct game changer. I'm a temp salt gel.
Say no to malaria. Yes to life.
It's your turn. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. Your turn.
With Glow, bonus no dey finish. Buy a Glow Save and enjoy 10 times airtime bonus on top every recharge, plus double data bonus on all data plans.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and the National Security Advisor warned political parties to shun violence in Saturday's governorship and state assembly elections. Outgoing British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Catriona Lang, says she is impressed with Nigeria's democratic journey in spite of some contentions in the presidential elections. With just a few days to the governorship polls, parties form last-minute alliances as governors Babajide Sanwo-Olu and Seyi Makinde get endorsements from opposition parties. And Russian fighter jet collides with US drone, causing the unmanned aircraft to crash into the Black Sea. This Saturday, the governorship and state houses of assembly election will hold in 28 out of the country's 36 states. The election will be won and lost amid permutations and political strategies deployed by different parties. Keenly watched across the continent and beyond, Nigeria's presidential election produced an unprecedented outcome. Will the governorship election spring more surprises with high competitiveness? Our correspondent, Darido, spotlights some of the key battleground states in the South, highlighting the dynamics and intrigues each state presents ahead of the March 18th election.
The political turf in Delta is wide and the actors are masters of their own game. With almost 3 million eligible voters in the state, the stakes are high. Governor Ifeanyi Okowa is not on this ballot, but as his party's flag bearer as favorite. The political influence of former Governor James Ibori in the state's politics remains strong. He is said to have a preferred choice, and he may not be the candidate of the PDP. Ovioma Agege, the Deputy Senate President in the 9th Assembly, is seeking to cause an upset in Delta, a traditional PDP state that produced the vice presidential candidate of the party in the just concluded presidential election.
Deltans have resolved that they are not going to do anything with APC or PDP. I am the third force.
Certainly not a two-horse race. As shown in the presidential election results, the Labour Party presidential candidate won 18 out of the 25 local governments in Delta. A strong showing his party man in the governorship election will hope to replicate. Emmanuel Ona, an associate professor, teaches political analysis at the University of Lagos. He says the governorship results will produce a different set of results entirely.
It is an interesting thing that is happening all over. For the first time, parties are not having a field day. It's not easy now to say that this party will win this state job because the party has incumbency. So issues of governance are coming in.
More than 3.2 million voter cards collected in an election with a lot of vested interest. River State elections have always been hotly contested. Former Governor Rotimi Amechi is backing the candidate of his party, Tonye Cole, against the incumbent governor's favorite, Sim Fubara.
If you remember when I was governor, I initiated a market for the Igbo people.
The presidential election results may not apply in working out a correct permutation for the governorship poll. More than 6 million eligible voters are largely divided across 13,323 polling units will be voting across 20 local governments. Here in Lagos, the commercial nerve center of the nation, one political party, the All Progressives Congress, has had a dominant run for so many years, occupying all the key political offices in the state. But the presidential election results have shown the possibility of a swing, and that has re-energized the opposition. Gbadebo Rotsvival, the governorship candidate of the Labour Party, and Abdulaziz Adediran, also known as Jando of the PDP, appear to be poised to cause an upset in Lagos.
We won Alimosho, we won Ikeja, we won so many local governments, and our results have shown that we actually got over 900,000 votes. So come out again. We've done it before, let us do it again.
Next week election is for us to take, and we are taking it and we are winning it.
Senator Bola Tinubu, the leader of the Lagos political clan, is the president-elect, a big plus for the party, but Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is not taking chances. The party has a big political statement to make, and the governor is touching base with different groups at the grassroots in his bid to get re-elected.
Let us go out on Saturday. Let us ensure that your working governor is returned with 100%.
Still in the southwest, the dynamics in Ogun is a familiar one, and the race to Okemọsan has always been hotly contested. Positions might have been reshuffled, party affiliations and partnership may have changed, but the players are the same with a few replacements. The incumbent Dapo Abiodun is seeking re-election.
Ogun State sons and daughters will go to the polls and not only vote, but they will vote en masse for APC.
In this race, there's enough confidence to go round.
We are on the upswing and we shall win. There's no doubt about it.
The present administration should not return and will not return.
Former governor of the state, Ekunle Amosun, a member of the APC, is backing ADC's B. Otegbeye. And Adekunle Akinlade, backed by the former governor 4 years ago, is on the same ticket with the candidate of the PDP. With more than 2.7 million eligible voters, Oyo is a battleground state. A race with no clear political permutation. Governor Seyi Makinde is seeking re-election, but his party lost during the just concluded presidential poll, a result attributed to a possible alliance between the governor and the presidential candidate of the APC. The APC also won the 3 senatorial seats and 9 of the 14 House of Reps seats. APC is seeking to return the state to its fold, having lost it in 2019. As Nigerians keep a close watch on the process, hoping to elect governors and state lawmakers of their choice, political maturity, healthy rivalry from all sides is needed for a credible and violence-free process. Dari Idu, Channels Television News.
The federal government says 12,988,978 cyber attacks were recorded during the presidential and National Assembly elections. The elections were held on February the 25th, while the final results were announced on March the 1st, 2023. President Muhammadu Buhari had set up a committee to protect the cyberspace and information communication technology infrastructure during the elections. Speaking on the outcome of the committee's efforts, Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami, in a statement today, says prior to the elections, the daily number of threats against public websites was about 1,550,000. He said the threats increased significantly to about 6 million on election day. Well, the minister, however, said about 12 million attacks were successfully blocked from both local and international territories. Justice Ambrose Lewis Alagwa of the Federal High Court, Lagos, has ordered the Lagos State Government and the Naira Police to pay an Uber driver, Adidotun Clement, the sum of 5 million naira as compensation. Mr. Clement was allegedly assaulted by officials of the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Agency and the Nigeria Police during the first anniversary of the NSARS on October the 20th, 2021 at the Lekki toll gate while he was carrying a passenger from the island to the mainland and was intercepted by the officials. Following the pandemonium that ensued after policemen and the officers of the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Agency fired tear gas canisters to disperse the peaceful protesters and arrested many of them, while the driver temporarily abandoned his car like other motorists and ran for his life. But by the time he returned to pick up his car, he was accosted, dragged, tortured, and manhandled by the officers who refused to listen to his entreaties that he was an Uber driver and only wanted to retrieve his car. The assault was captured on video, which went viral on social media. While delivering judgment in the fundamental rights case, Justice Alagwa held that the treatment meted on the applicant amounted to a violation of his right to dignity and awarded the sum of 5 million naira as damages. Former Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu and his wife Beatrice returned to the Old Bailey today in continuation of their trial for alleged organ harvesting in the London court. The couple is accused of plotting alongside one Dr. Obi Naubeta to arrange an illegal kidney transplant for their sick daughter, Sonia, 25 years old, who is also named as a defendant. They allegedly conspired to transport a 21-year-old street trader from Lagos to London to harvest his organ. While the trial entering its 7th week, Attorney Mrs. Ekweremadu took the stand in the former Deputy Senate President's defense, describing him as a good man. The plaintiff attempted to find out how much information the 56-year-old accountant knew about who the alleged victim is. But Mrs. Ekweremadu said she was unaware of a number of affairs on the home front, telling the court that as a woman with a powerful politician and lawyer for her husband, she refrained from questioning him. Let's now head to the nation's capital of Abuja, and Terry Ikumi is standing by to give us the very latest from our studios there in Abuja. Hello, Terry. What can you tell us today?
Hi, Ayo. Now, what Nigeria does with its youthful population will determine the country's future. That was the sentiment shared by the president of the African Development Bank, Mr. Ekweremadu, at the official launch of the Investment in Digital and Creative Enterprises program at the banquet hall of the State House in Abuja. Delivering his keynote address, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, commends Nigeria's private sector for its investment in startups, insisting that more must be done by the government to provide the enabling environment for startups to thrive. Our State House correspondent, Kayla Megwa, reports.
Nigeria's youth population, 15 to 35 years of age, makes up over 50% of the country's total population. As of the fourth quarter of 2020, Nigeria's youth unemployment rate stood at 42.5%. Addressing this challenge has caused the convergence of stakeholders in Nigeria's creative and digital space at the banquet hall of the State House in Abuja for the launch of the Investment in Digital and Creative Enterprises program, IDICE, an initiative of the federal government to create 6 million jobs for young people. Funding for IDICE will cost $680 million, which will be sourced from the African Development Bank, the Agence Française de Développement, the Islamic Development Bank, counterpart funding from the Bank of Industry through loans for qualifying startups, and equity investments from the private sector. Nigeria's Bank of Industry will see to the day-to-day implementation of the project, which the African Development Bank's President Ekweremadu describes as a game-changer for Nigeria's youthful population.
What Nigeria does with its youthful population will determine the future of Nigeria. Its future in terms of first-rate education to make them competitive. Its future in terms of skills to fill the jobs today and create jobs of tomorrow.
As the program is formally launched and its logo unveiled, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, commends the private sector for its increased investments in Nigeria's technology ecosystem, insisting that more must be done for the country's youth.
I think it's now imperative to commence a coordinated approach towards innovation on the continent, bringing together all stakeholders to coordinate efforts at scaling up investments and building programs that provide the right enabling environment and produce talent pipelines that support the growth of innovation on the continent.
The 5-year IDICE project is supposed to go for a whopping $618 million. Seed money expected to result in a harvest of over $6 billion in 5 years. Stressed at today's event is the need for the Nigerian government to be deliberate to this youthful population. And we heard the Vice President and the President of the African Development Bank talk about a youth wealth that will ensure the future of the country. From the banquet hall of State House in Abuja, Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
Less than 24 hours after the directive of the Central Bank of Nigeria for commercial banks to accept the old 501,000 Naira notes as legal tender till December 31, 2023, Nigerians are yet to heave a sigh of relief. A visit to some banks in parts of northern Nigeria shows long queues and empty automated teller machines, a situation which has further frustrated the bank customers. Our correspondent Victoria Longjohn reports.
Long queues, anger and frustration. This is the situation at most banks in the northern part of the country. following the directive by the Central Bank of Nigeria that the old 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes remain legal tender to December 31, these bank customers have had to spend hours in long queues to gain access into the banking hall, as the automated teller machines are not dispensing cash. Mr. Salisu Idris, a resident of Bauchi State, has just withdrawn 15,000 Naira from the bank after spending 7 hours on the queue. It's the 1,000 denomination of the old Naira notes, and just like him, many others share similar experiences.
I suffer a lot. I even bring my child to come and take over my line before me. Later he felt it. I still join the line.
The ATM, you can look at it, there's nothing inside. If you can look at it, all of them is out of service. And we are here to collect it, but there's no more on ATM now.
As it is now, there is no any dispensing of the money from the ATM, which no one can tell you the real reason what is happening. They have been here. If there is any problem, we're supposed to know there is problem. But nobody come out to come and make any useful information that this is what makes the money not to be dispensing.
Like I'm here now, they beat me for many things I bought. But the people that I bought that from, they did not receive it.
Person like me, I'm into POS business. I can't withdraw more than 100,000. Before I withdraw to 100,000, I have to look for another means to withdraw more than 100,000. So it's affecting us.
Despite the CBN directive, there is still no confidence in spending the old Naira notes for fears it will not be accepted. The customers, however, are asking the Apex Bank to do more in publicizing the directive to address their concerns.
They gave us the old Naira note, which some people rejected, but personally I've collected it because at least I have the directive from the CBN this morning that we should collect it. But when you take this money out to people, the market women, the driver, the motors, some of them will say no, they will not want to collect it unless they have a direct directive from the president. So I don't know.
The challenge now is for me to spend it. People are not receiving it. Because I think I had the information that is being tendered to legal to us. But I think some people have not got the information.
Since the announcement of the Naira redesign policy in October 2022, it's been twists and turns, and bank customers have been at the receiving end, having to queue, fight, and live with the policy. However, many of them are hoping that in the coming days, things will gradually normalize. Victoria Longchan, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, in the southern part of the country, knocks and kudos are also pouring in for the Central Bank of Nigeria, despite the Apex Bank's directive to commercial banks to continue to dispense and accept the old 500 and 1,000 Naira notes till December 31, 2023. In this next report, our correspondent Kelly Giga brings us the situation report from Anambra and Lagos states.
After a statement from Nigeria's Apex Bank directing commercial banks to comply with the Supreme Court judgment on the status of the old 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1,000 Naira notes. In Anambra State, bank customers say it's frustrating getting access into banking halls to do transactions as large crowds gather in every bank in Awka, the state capital.
There is money, but they are dispensing on 500 Naira old money. But down here in Awka, especially Awka, Enugu and Abagana, they don't used to collect the old money.
There is no network in the ATM system, understand? So all this needs to be rectified.
We are also out here on the streets of Lagos to monitor compliance.
I've just withdrawn 10,000 Naira, old notes, just now. They have started giving old notes out, no new notes.
Bank people are making it difficult for masses. You know, I'll be here since 8 o'clock. Look at the time now. This is 11 o'clock. They can't be able to allow us to enter inside. And they're telling us they'll be disputing money inside there. But since up till now, I haven't entered. I don't even see money.
We move from Ekweremadu to Ojota and then to the Ikeja GRA area. Residents here are also apprehensive.
I'm here for the past almost 3 or 4 hours in this first bank. They still do as if they didn't hear anything from government. because I'm not seeing any improvement.
In the Falomo area on the island, the banks look scanty, with ATMs rarely in use. Residents are also concerned about the acceptability of the old Naira notes for transactions.
This money, people that were paying 500, 1,000 old notes, they refuse to collect it from them. Even with the fact that CBN wrote to us yesterday, as I guess today, 13, that they should collect, they still refuse to collect it from us.
We're right here at an automated teller machine on the Allen Avenue area here in Lagos, Nigeria. And we're going to try to see how we can use this machine here, of course, in this aspect or area of Lagos. Perhaps we can just do 10,000 Naira and see what kind of currency we're going to have. Is the ATM even going to dispense or not? That's the big question. Wait for it. Please take your cash. I'm told, please take your cash. Ladies and gentlemen, 10,000 Naira, old Naira notes right here at an automated teller machine on the Allen Avenue area in Lagos, Nigeria. Of course, it feels great to be able to do this after almost 2-3 months of being in the area of the cash crunch, and of course Nigerians having to queue and wait on POS agents and all of that, on doing the mobile transfers and all of that. The big question perhaps remains, if I take this money to the markets, the supermarkets, or the markets, the popular markets here in Lagos, will the traders accept this money from me, from Allen Avenue here in Lagos, Nigeria? I am Kelly Egiga, reporting for Channels Television News.
Now to matters of the court. A state high court sitting in Owerri, the Imo State capital, has sentenced a former commissioner of transport under the Rochas Okorocha administration, Lazo Korafu-Anyanwu, to 3 years imprisonment, having been found guilty of a 3-count charge bordering on fraud, looting public funds, and stealing. Delivering the judgment in the state high court in Owerri, the Imo State capital, the presiding judge, Justice K.A. Lewanya, says the former commissioner was found guilty of diverting 180 million naira of state funds into a private company account, where he is a major shareholder and sole signatory, when he superintended and doubled as Commissioner for Transport and Chairman Interim Committee of the Imo State Transport Company, ITC, which is against Section 12 and 19 of the ICPC Act 2020. According to the judge, Mr. Okorafu-Anyanwu was also found guilty of violating the Public Procurement Act, abuse of office, and using his office to gain undue advantage in his dealings during his tenure as Commissioner for Transport and Chairman Interim Committee of the Imo State Transport Company, ITC. Mr. Lazo Korafu-Anyanwu was arraigned before the Imo State High Court in November 2020, following a petition by an anonymous petitioner in Imo State who accused the former commissioner of fraud, looting of public funds, abuse of office, and embezzlement while holding brief as Commissioner for Transport in Imo State between 2015 and 2019. And that's all from the nation's capital. Back to you, Ayo.
Well, many thanks, Terry, for that one. Now, the Director General of the Pension Transitional Arrangements Directorate, Mrs. Choma Ejukeme, has announced plans by the organization to commence pension diaspora verification. Mrs. Choma made this known or disclosed the plan at a meeting with officials of the Nigeria Diaspora Commission, explaining that the initiative will capture Nigerian pensioners who retired before June 2007 and are yet to start benefiting from the pension scheme. On her part, the chairman of NIDCOM, Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Erwa, is promising support for PTAD to ensure the success of the project.
Officials of the Pension Transitional Arrangements Directorate at a meeting with representatives of the Nigeria Diaspora Commission on how to ensure that pensioners in the diaspora who retired before June 2007 are verified.
We have a lot of pensioners.
The essence of the verification is clear: to help them enjoy their benefits after serving their fatherland.
On our database, we have almost 5,000, pensioners who are supposed to be in the diaspora, spread around the Americas, Europe. We have some in Africa. I mean, you'd be surprised. It's like literally every country in the world, there's a pensioner there. Yes, and we are trying to see how you can be of help to us, because we have a feeling that They don't all know about our website. They don't all know about PTAD. And we don't know their organizations. We don't know the communities they belong to. We don't know how to reach them. So we feel that collaborating with you would help us.
The chairman of the Nigeria Diaspora Commission is not only glad at the extension of the verification exercise to retirees living abroad, but promises to go all out to make the intervention a success.
We will work with you, we'll collaborate with you, and let the diaspora know that Council of PTAD is a diaspora verification project that will collaborate with you to work on. We'll work on the fine details, but the first thing is to get as much information as we can from you, disseminate the information through our various platforms, start letting them know that if you are A, B, C, then you're qualified for your pension and that it is your right, and Council of PTAD, come and collect your money.
The latest plan by PTAD targets pensioners who were under the defunct pension scheme but are living abroad to enable them get on board its verification exercise and have access to their gratuity.
Right, let's check out what's happening in the world of business with Will Ibong. Will.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks, Ayatunde. The International Air Transport Association, IATA, says foreign airlines revenue blocked from repatriation by the federal government has increased to $743 million in January from $662 million. According to IATA, Nigeria has been the country with the highest amount of airline blocked funds in the world for over a year now. The trapped funds have been linked to some of the challenges in Nigeria's aviation sector, and in attempts to recover its revenue last year, Emirates Airlines suspended flight operations to Nigeria, but later resumed passenger-scheduled flights in December 2022. Meanwhile, in a bid to address the impasse, the Central Bank of Nigeria had released $265 million to foreign airlines operating in the country to settle outstanding ticket sales, but the problem is yet to be fully resolved. And the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has announced that the next Monetary Policy Committee meeting, the second for this year, will hold next week on March the 21st and 22nd to decide the direction for interest rates. In a notice on the CBN website, the Apex Bank says the two-day meeting will take place at the CBN headquarters in Abuja. Meanwhile, some experts expect the central bank to take a dovish stance and hold interest rates. Now, the last MPC meeting, this committee had decided to hike interest rates by 100 basis points to 17.5% from 16.5%. Now, the Debt Management Office, DMO, has reopened and offered 4 federal government bonds valued at 360 billion naira for subscription through auction this month. According to the DMO, the 10, 15, 20, and 30-year instruments are being offered at an interest rate of 13.98, 12.5, 16.24, and 14.8% respectively. And the DMO stresses that the bonds are offered at 1,000 naira per unit, with a minimum subscription of 50 million naira. Now, outside our shores, Facebook parent company Meta is set to cut 10,000 jobs this week. This comes only a few months after the Facebook parent had reduced more than 11,000 people from its workforce, making it the first big tech company to announce a second round of mass layoffs as the industry braces for a deep economic downturn. Worries of an economic downturn due to rising interest rates have sparked a series of mass job cuts across corporate America, from Wall Street banks such as Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley to big tech firms including Amazon and Microsoft. Meanwhile, shares of Meta jumped 6% following the news. Now to the equities market now, where stocks continued negative sentiments from yesterday as the all-share index dipped further into negative territory. Larry Williams has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the local bourse goes deeper in red territory today. And if you look at the all-share index there, 0.12%, that's the close we have, 55,722 points. Moving farther away from the 55,800 level, market cap still holding 30 trillion Naira. Let's look at the activity chart now. See, 199 million units of stocks have traded today, almost 200 million, valued at 2.81 billion Naira. But we'll see lesser deals today, 3,898. Let's look at the top gainers counter. We see 17 Naira, 75 kobo. That's the closing price there for NMR Well PLC. FTN Cocoa Processors, 28 kobo there, 7.69% gain. And we see Sterling Bank, 1 Naira 51 kobo, up 3.42%. Even though we see the banking counter was hammered yesterday and still negative territory. Let's look at the losers counter now. We see it's Chams topping that counter, 8% at 23 kobo. Negative market breadth, that's what we have today. 9 stocks posted gains, while 17 stocks declined. And that's the stock market report. I'm Ladi Williams. It's back to you.
Thanks, Ladi. As always, let's check out the performance of other major equities around the world. And that's it on Business News. It's back to Ayotunde for the rest of the news at 10.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Many thanks, Will. Let's head to Imo State, where the Nigeria Labour Congress has suspended its strike action there for 2 weeks. Well, this follows what the union describes as the interventions by highly respected and well-meaning Nigerians from within and outside the state, as well as assurances from agents of the state government to make amends. Well, a statement by the president of the NLC, Joseph Ajero, says the decision became necessary to allow citizens of the state perform their civic duty by taking part in the governorship and state assembly elections. Well, the union, however, says in the event the window of opportunity is not being utilized, well, the union will be left with no option than to resume the suspended action with more ferocity. A Russian fighter jet has collided with a U.S. drone, crashing an unmanned aircraft into the Black Sea. The drone was said to be on a routine mission in international airspace when 2 Russian jets tried to intercept it. The U.S. European Command describes the crash as a result of unprofessional act by the Russians. Here's Simon Pusey on other international stories in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Global banking shares remain under pressure as fears persist over the fallout from Silicon Valley Bank's collapse. Regulators in the UK, the US and Asia have acted quickly to try to contain any fallout from the US bank's demise. The Bank of Japan provided further help to keep financial markets stable after its leading stock index fell 2.1%. But fears continue that banks may be vulnerable, while the path for interest rates now appears uncertain. In Japan, major lenders such as the country's largest bank, MUFG, saw their share prices tumble by more than 8%. An index of Japanese banking stocks known as the Topix Banks Index plunged by 7.4% despite reassurances from the Bank of Japan. The United States, UK and Australia have unveiled details of their plan to create a new fleet of nuclear-powered submarines aimed at countering China's influence in the Indo-Pacific region. Under the AUKUS Pact, Australia is to get its first nuclear-powered subs, at least 3 from the US. The Allies will also work to create a new fleet using cutting-edge technology, including UK-made Rolls-Royce reactors. Beijing has strongly criticised the significant Navy deal. Its Foreign Office on Tuesday accused the 3 nations of walking further and further down the path of error and danger.
Our unprecedented trilateral cooperation, I believe, is testament to the strength of the long-standing ties that unite us, and to our shared commitment of ensuring the Indo-Pacific remains free and open.
In the last 18 months, the challenges we face have only grown. Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine, China's growing assertiveness, the destabilizing behavior of Iran and North Korea, all threaten to create a world defined by danger, disorder, and division.
China is to resume issuing visas to foreign tourists for the first time since the COVID pandemic broke 3 years ago. The major easing of restrictions comes after Beijing declared victory over the virus and retreated from a zero-COVID strategy that has hurt its economy. From the 15th of March, foreign offices can process applications for Chinese visas. Visa-free entry will also resume in Hainan Island and Shanghai for cruise trips, and tour groups from Hong Kong and Macau will also regain their visa-free privilege. At least 99 people have died in Malawi after Tropical Storm Freddy ripped through southern Africa for the second time in a month. Terrifying amounts of brown water have cascaded through neighborhoods, sweeping away homes. Malawi's commercial hub, Blantyre, has recorded the most deaths, 85, including 36 in a landslide. The government has declared a state of disaster in 10 districts that have been hardest hit by the storm. A celebrity gossip YouTuber turned MP will become Japan's first lawmaker to be kicked out of parliament without ever actually entering it. Yoshikazu Higashitani was expelled on Tuesday by his Senate colleagues for never coming to work. He has not attended a single day of Parliament sessions since being elected to office 7 months ago. The Parliament's Discipline Committee stripped him of his status because of the continued absence. And the Olympic high jump champion Dick Fosby, who revolutionised the event with a radically different jumping technique that was eventually named after him, has died at the age of 76. Fosbury won gold in the 1968 Olympic Games in Mexico City, where he jumped backwards first to clear the bar, a technique that has since been named the Fosbury flop and used by all high jumpers today. When foam matting was introduced to break the athlete's fall, Fosbury used his new technique for the first time. The American set a then Olympic record of 2.24 metres to take the gold and change the sport forever.
Very emotional to return to where my victory was and really where the revolution began, to change the event where everyone uses my style, the Fosbury flop today. And it was so exciting. It changed my life forever. So it's an amazing feeling to come back and celebrate this.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Nigeria's representative at the Basketball Africa League, the Kwara Falcons, this evening suffered their second defeat in the Sahara Conference. The Kwara State-based basketball club lost to Mali-starred Malians 78-74 at the Dakar Arena in Senegal. The Malians dominated the first to the third quarters of the game, 18-15, 18-16, and 28-18. Kwara Falcons tried to rally back in the fourth and final quarter, 25-14, but it was not enough to save the day. The team will be back in action on Thursday when they face Tunisia's US Monastir Basketball Club. In football, the FIFA has announced the expanded 2026 Men's World Cup in North America will start with 12 groups of 4 teams in a change from the original planned format of 16 groups of 3. The next World Cup in the United States, Canada, and Mexico will be the first to feature 48 teams, a sharp increase from the 32 sides at last year's tournament in Qatar. It means that there will be 104 matches, a huge rise compared to the 64 games played in 2022, and an increase on the original plan that the 2026 World Cup would feature 80 matches. And that's a wrap on Sports News. Thank you so very much for watching. I'm Victor Matthias. It's back to Ayotunde with the wrap of the news at 10. Many thanks, Victor. And the main news again. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission and the National Security Advisor today warned political parties to shun violence in Saturday's governorship and state assembly elections. The two men were speaking during the meeting of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security in Abuja. We also told you that political parties have been making last-minute alliances ahead of the governorship elections. In Lagos State, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu was endorsed by 10 political parties, while in Oyo State, the SDP governorship candidate has stepped down for Governor Seyi Makinde. And that's the news at 10. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Good night and stay safe.
Hello and welcome to Political Paradigm. I'm Terry Ikumi. It's still politics season here in Nigeria. After that comes governance and then development. That's our talking point today on Political Paradigm. We'll also look at the recently concluded presidential